Everybody, it's your girl Angie. Welcome back to Kiss My Cheeks TV. Today we're gonna jump right into the new family or fiance video. This was a good episode, y'all. I really liked it. You know, just a quick overview. A lot of the issues that I thought were gonna be issues really weren't. It was really only one main issue to me. So let's jump into it, because this is another couple that at the end of the day I really liked. I really saw the love that they have between each other, and I know this is something that they can work out. The couple's name today was Lashonda and Dre. Now Dre, off the top, was talking about how he's this celebrity DJ. I didn't write down who he went on tour with, but he's toured the world with a lot of top pop and hip hop artists. So off top, I'm thinking, is this an insecurity? Is this a jealousy type thing? Is there any kind of infidelity? Like, in the beginning, they were really pressing this celebrity DJ thing, but let's just keep going. That wasn't an issue. And in the beginning, they met with Dr. Tracy. I like that they said, you know, they said our daughters. That's the first thing that they said together. It wasn't just her children. He claimed those children as his own, and he wants to adopt them. And I said that's a major thing. That's a really major thing. I really loved how they explained their love to each other, how they explained it to Dr. Tracy. And I just really wanted to see, you know, what's going on. So Dr. Tracy gave them their task, and she was like, Dre, talk to her family about your 5-year plan. And Lashonda, she called it the HATER fears, but it was really 20 questions. Like, oh my God, just call it 20 questions, Dr. Tracy. Just call it what it is. Okay, so now the families, they arrive at the house. It seems like everyone likes each other. Everyone knew each other. Everyone got along. It wasn't any rudeness like in previous weeks. So I'm like, okay, what's the issue here? Like, it took me a while to really get to what the issue was. And so finally, oh, side note, now the dad, I did not know. I'm with the dad on this. They in this huge ass mansion, this big ass house, and you telling me the couple gets this luxurious master suite, but the family have to share this little tiny room with 3 twin beds? I'm like, the dad, this house ain't big enough for us to get our own room. The dad was not here for them twin beds. That was a very funny moment. And I was here with the dad. I was like, I ain't here for these twin beds either. But moving along, it's time for the family round table, and that's when the families all get together in the living room, and they get to tell the couples what their issue is for the wedding and why they may or may not give their blessing at the end of this thing. Now, the groom brings his little sister Kendall. The little sister says, my brother's been hurt in the past, and I just don't want you to hurt my brother. Okay, little sis, she ain't got no issue. Mom, her issue is the adoption. She wants to know where the biological father stands in this whole thing. That's, you know, that ain't no issue to stop a wedding, but that is a concern. I can understand that. The BFF, his friend Brandon, is the hater of the show. He's the one with the issue. Brandon says getting married these days is like betting half of your belongings that you don't make a mistake. What? What? He's pretty much saying, because I'm assuming since he's a celebrity DJ, DJs make good money, that Brandon has some good money, and he's pretty much saying you taking the risk of giving her half of your belongings if you out here cheating. Because he says every time that him and Brandon goes out, it's a 50-50 chance that something can go down. What? Now, mind you, I'm saying my reactions are because I've watched the whole episode. At the moment when I first watched it, before I seen the whole episode, in my mind, I'm thinking, what, is there a history of infidelity here? Because I'm still trying to figure out what the problem is. We gonna get there, but that best friend is the king of all haters. He seems like he just mad because he ain't got no woman. Don't say nothing mean, Angie. Don't say nothing mean. Let's go along. Let's go along. Now, the bride's family, she says, her younger sister Danielle says her issue is how Lashonda reacts to conflicts. She seems to just shut people out of her life, and she seems to shut down. Now, at this moment, pin that. I ain't see that. When conflict arose in the episode, it seems like Lashonda is ready to set it off. And that was pretty much what she was trying to say. Lashonda has a temper. That's not no reason to stop a wedding, but that is a concern. Sumitra, which is her other sister, she didn't say older or younger, she says she wants to know if her sister can handle his lifestyle. So people are still throwing out there the celebrity DJ thing, and at this moment I'm thinking, has this man cheated? What's going on? And she also wants to know how they're going to handle this adoption. So the adoption is a big issue amongst both families. Now the dad also says something about trust issues with him being a DJ. What is he out here doing with this DJ thing? He's probably going to be working late at night surrounded by beautiful women. And the dad just is not here for the adoption. He's like, I'm not here for the adoption if the father does not bless it. We're going to get into that some more later. But to me, off top, the family issues don't seem to be issues. Like, off the top of what they're talking about, I don't see any reason for anyone not to give a blessing. To me, this is all a sit-down family conversation, which is pretty much why they're here. Now, let's jump back to this. When they were talking to Dr. Tracy, this is another couple who's getting married in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks. And he's this celebrity DJ. He said this is going to be a huge production. He has a lot of people, probably celebrities, coming to this wedding. So, from right there at the beginning, I put a star on my paper, like, whatever goes down this weekend, if it ain't nothing outside of him having a side baby or some huge cheating scandal, they get married. Ain't nobody stop. I don't understand why people come to this show so close to their wedding when this stuff is already signed and paid for. Unless it's some huge revelation, I don't see anyone stopping their wedding 3 weeks before. But let's jump into this, because it still was a good episode and there's still some good things we can talk about. Now, I said I'm not here for his hater ass friend Brandon. I already said Brandon said every time they go out it's a 50-50 chance that he gonna cheat. That was a disrespectful thing to say in front of the fiance. And Lashonda was like, Brandon gets on my last nerve. And I'm like, girl, I've only seen him on the TV screen for 10 minutes and he on my last nerve too. So let's move along. They get into their task. Brandon breaks down his 5-year plan, and pretty much the family don't even care nothing about his 5-year plan. Her family wants to know what's going on with this adoption. And let's break this down real quick. One, I'm assuming, again, since he's a celebrity DJ, his finances are in order. He probably has much money. They ain't worried about that. They want to know what's up with this adoption. Sumitra wants to know, how is this process going to work? Let's break this down. They all don't want to upset the biological father. And the dad used the words, we don't want to awake a sleeping giant. And I'm like, why did he use those words? Is he a sleeping giant because he's not around, he's a deadbeat dad, and that's why he wants to adopt them? Does he have a temper like Lashonda's? And if y'all bring this bullshit up to him, is he gonna blow up? Point blank to the period on this adoption thing, if the father, the biological father, does not sign away his rights to those children, the adoption is not going to happen. That's just period. I don't care what Lashonda wants. He says Lashonda is the one who wants the adoption because she doesn't want, if anything happens to her, she wants to make sure Dre has rights to the children. She probably wants Dre to raise those children, and that's all fine and that's all well, Lashonda, but at the end of the day, you just can't take away a man's parental rights. Now let's just jump through the episode. It seemed like the father is absentee. They didn't make it seem like he was a deadbeat. He probably just doesn't come around as much as they would want him to. He might be one of them birthday Christmas fathers. I don't know, but he's not completely out the picture. These young ladies, it seems like they know who he is. I don't know. They didn't really go into much in depth, but it feels like at the end of the day, if you're not ready to go to some court battle to prove this man unfit to be a parent, and if he's not willingly ready to sign his name on the dotted line to say, you can have these kids, I sign over my rights, the adoption ain't gonna happen. So let's just not talk about that no more. It should not be a concern with this dad. And to me, if the dad has not already been informed of this adoption, I don't know why y'all came on TV talking about it, because let's just move on. That's just a period. It don't matter. The family also is concerned about Lashonda's temper, but let's just move on. We'll get to that later. Now, Lashonda is playing 21 Questions with Fears. And the first fear is, we don't want Dre to get hurt. And, you know, she says, I ain't never going to hurt him. I love him. Okay. They also are feared about the adoption without the blessing of the biological father. We already talked about that, so it ain't going to happen. Let's just keep moving on. They also are worried about her temper, because now the main issue arises to why Lashonda has a temper. And Brandon brings this up. He's talking about Brandon made an inappropriate comment. Let's just talk about the comment. Apparently, they showed a picture of the children at the beginning of the episode, beautiful girls. Brandon brought it upon himself to be like, do these children have the same father, because they don't look alike? Now, mind you, it ain't none of his business, but that's a valid question if he would have left it right there. But he gonna go on to say, this one is gonna be the cute and sassy one, but this one just gonna have a good personality. So pretty much you done just called this child ugly to this woman's face. I would have whooped his ass. I don't care. That was completely inappropriate. Anybody sitting around that whole family table that don't agree that that was inappropriate and not willing to check Brandon, I got a problem with. I was here for Lashonda. I didn't feel like she had a temper. I felt like that was a valid reason to cuss Brandon's ass out. But yeah, I wrote that down. I said that was fighting words. Those were fighting words. You don't call nobody's child ugly. And Brandon says, what did he say? She's mad at everyone for making excuses for Brandon, talking about, you just have to understand that's how Brandon is. I don't give a fuck how he is. You don't call my child ugly. And I don't like when people make excuses for other people's bad behavior by saying that's just how he is. Now, Brandon talking about, well, I apologize for hurting your feelings. And I'm with Lashonda on this. No, don't apologize for hurting my feelings. You need to understand it was fucked up what you said about my daughter, and apologize for what you said, not for hurting my feelings. And to me, that ain't no real apology, because pretty much you just saying, I said what I said. I'm sorry if you took it the wrong way. He's talking about, pretty much that's what he said. He said, we're going to get into that. Let's get into that. Mind you, she's sitting around his family. No one in his family, that sister or that mama, checked him to be like, yeah, you was pretty much calling her daughter ugly. They mad that she holding this grudge, because I guess he said this a while ago. And to me, when it comes to my son, I have held grudges like that. Like, to me, that is, and I pretty much for any mom, I believe, that's a trigger. You can't talk about people's children. And if you talk about my son and say anything inappropriate about him, I'm going to hold a grudge. I have held grudges against people for years. And it took me time just to say, okay, I'm over it now. And I probably was like, that is what they are. They ain't going to change. And I just moved forward. I probably ain't forgive them, but I just moved forward because, and Lashonda going to have to do that with Brandon too. But I just, at the end of the day, I wasn't mad at Lashonda. I was not mad at Lashonda. I understood exactly where she's coming from. And let's just move on. Because now we at the dinner. We're going to argue about this shit some more at the dinner. At the dinner is where Lashonda blows up. And everyone is getting on her for her temper. But again, I understand where she's coming from. And I'm like, at this dinner, we trying to have peace and come together as a family. Why would you lead off the conversation talking about the comments you made about these daughters? And then the daddy jump up talking about he understand where Brandon coming from. Daddy, really? And so Lashonda now is pissed off at her daddy, and I ain't mad. I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it because I'm looking like, them your grandchildren. It ain't no way you could say something about my son in front of my mom and my dad and something fucked up like calling them ugly, and they understand your side. Now, my parents don't have that pop-off spirit, especially not my dad. My mom might have a little bit of the pop-off spirit, but they ain't gonna let you get away with the disrespect. And so now they're saying there's a logic. They understand the logic behind his comments. It was just the way he said it. Because he trying to say he said what he said because he really just wanted to know if they had the same dad. Then just ask that. The second part of your comment is what was the fucked up part of the comment. And then Brandon says, no, yeah, because Brandon says his comment, he apologizes again, but he's sorry that his comment was so colorful. And like I said, you pretty much just saying, I said what I said. Like, let's move on. Let's move on. Because I have an attitude. I have an attitude with the Dre. And I have an attitude with the father. Because Dre talking about boys will be boys. And that's just how he is. And I'm like, no. Somebody, as you, the man who wants to adopt these daughters, you want them to be your children. You can't allow anyone, including your best friend, to disrespect them on any level. And if you don't put your foot down now, what's to stop him from disrespecting them down the line? But I can tell Brandon, he probably wasn't here for the disrespect, but I can tell he's not the confrontational type of person. They're opposites. She's the confrontational one. She will tell you how she feels, and Brandon looks like the type who lets just stuff roll off of his back. And he, especially whatever connection he has with his best friend, he's scared. He's scared to confront that best friend. And that's just in his spirit. His mom was like, Brandon's the peacemaker. But at the end of the day, you come be peaceful on my side. Forget him. Now, Lashonda and Dre have a private conversation. She's talking about, Dre, you never defend me. Dre is still talking about he can see both sides. And I'm like, really? Really? What is his other side? Like, I don't understand the other side of your friend. So right now, I see the problem in this couple. It's not the families. It's not the adoptions. It's the disrespect of his best friend. Because the whole time, the best friend is throwing hateful comments out, which would piss me off too. You done already said every time we go out, it's a 50-50 chance he gonna cheat. So you trying to drop hints in my mind about my man, and now you talking about my daughter ugly. I would have checked him. It wouldn't even have mattered. I would have checked him. My husband wouldn't have had to do it. But now we at day 2 with Tracy, and Tracy was dropping gems day 2. Tracy was back. Because some episodes she a miss. This was the episode she was a hit. And so now Tracy is checking in. They're talking about this comment again. And she checks him. Tracy checks Dre in a calm, therapist type of way. And she lets him know that the convo about the kids is not a good look. She pretty much said what I said a few pages ago, that if you want to be these children's father, you should have stopped Brandon right in his tracks when he first said the fucked up shit. Because I guarantee you, and I don't want this to sound messed up, but there is a difference, and maybe that's the whole thing they're talking about. You need to think about this adoption thing, because when it's your child, your biological child, I guarantee his best friend couldn't have called his biological child ugly. He would have said something. But sometimes when it's not your kids, your jump out spirit of checking may not be, your level may be a little bit lower. And to me, it wouldn't be for me, because I don't think Dr. Tracy was pretty much like, talking about anybody's kids' looks off top is inappropriate. Just anybody's kids. You could be talking about my cousin. You could be talking about a little kid in the class. You could be talking about the little kid across the street that I don't even know. Don't talk about children like that, because they just don't deserve it. And then here he goes talking about boys will be boys, and I'm like, forget that. I said a curse word. I'm trying not to curse this episode. I said, forget that. Boys will not be boys. That's what you say about 5-year-olds. That's what you say about 6-year-olds who hit a girl in class because he really likes her and don't know how to express it because he's 6. That's when boys will be boys. Not this grown-ass man with a salt and pepper ass beard. He knew what he was doing. He knows the disrespect. Now, moving on, Tracy says, now Brandon says, I understand both perspectives. And Tracy said, hold up. The only perspective you need to understand is your wife's and your children's. She said, and this was the gem, she said, Brandon is not equal to Lashonda. Period. She didn't say period, but I said. She said, if you want a healthy relationship, you need to understand that your best friend is not equal to your wife. And if your best friend holds more weight than your wife, then you don't need to get married. Now, she didn't say that, but that's just Angie's opinion. If your best friend means more to you than your wife, you don't need to get married. You need to go be with your best friend. Now, moving on, she says, Lashonda says, I understand that I have a temper. I need to calm down more, but he needs to speak up more. And maybe if he spoke up more, I wouldn't have to speak out the way I do. Now, mind you, I ain't never really see this huge temper. Like, I'm thinking, is her temper so big that she lashes out? Does she lay hands? Like, to me, just to get loud is not a big deal. But that's just me. Now, she makes them have 5 seconds of eye contact so they can reconnect, so they can just look and feel their connection again. Because right now, Lashonda is heated. And in those 5 seconds, I was emotional. I was emotional watching them just stare into each other's eyes for 5 seconds. It was so beautiful. I saw the love. I saw the shift of energy that Dr. Tracy always talking about. And it just was a beautiful moment. Lashonda cries, and Dre promises that he's never going to let anyone disrespect his family again. And I thought that was a beautiful moment. Dr. Tracy gives them some more tasks. Dre is to check Brandon, and Lashonda is to speak with her dad, because she was also upset that the dad took Brandon's side in the comment thing as well. Now, Lashonda talks to her dad. The dad says he can relate to both sides of the man in this situation. Right here, Lashonda starts cutting him off. The dad really couldn't get in his point because Lashonda was kind of over talking him. But I said that was disrespectful. But I can understand, like, the dad wasn't really saying, the way he explained it, he wasn't really saying he understood why Brandon called the daughter ugly. He was pretty much saying that what we all saying, Brandon ain't gonna change, and he just wants to move forward and not argue about it every time it comes up. He's probably like, why are we still talking about this? Don't curse, Angie. Forget him, and y'all just move forward. Just because he ain't sorry, and you just running your blood pressure up arguing about it every time it comes up. So I understood where the dad comes from, but Lashonda wasn't trying to hear it. She was arguing with her father. It could be viewed as being disrespectful, but I never heard her say anything disrespectful to her father. She didn't curse him out. She just wasn't here for it. And I think when she got to the point where she could have been disrespectful to her father, she just got up and walked away, which I appreciated. I said the dad is kind of closed-minded, and I can see where he does probably one of them old school dads who just think men's opinion is better than women's opinion. I ain't saying that it is, but it's people out there like that. And at some point, he did say something disrespectful. He said, why would I want to understand a female's emotions? Females are emotional as hell. And he just he probably just an old school parent. You probably ain't gonna crack it with your dad. You gonna have to love him for who he is because he old and he probably ain't gonna change. But you ain't got to fool with Brandon. Now it's a new day. Dre is outside talking to Brandon. I already see the bullshit coming. I already feel it. I said I won't curse. I already can see it coming. And I said Brandon needs to mind his own MF business. I ain't cursed y'all. But he needs to be cussed out. And Dre, at that moment when he started talking, he should have said mind your own business. Because he's talking about I could never be with somebody who talks to their parents the way Lashonda talked to her dad. Now mind you, it could have been viewed as disrespectful, but I really didn't see her disrespecting her father. She was over talking and arguing with him, but she left before she got disrespectful. And pin that, you ain't marrying Lashonda, so why do you have to bring up who you wouldn't be with? Matter of fact, who are you with, Brandon? Where your woman at? Because I don't see nobody willing to pull up with that mean-spirited attitude. No, ma'am. But at that point, I just said, well, you ain't marrying Lashonda, so good. You ain't got to be with nobody like her. And then he goes on to say, what did he say that was disrespectful? You can take the cat out the alley, but you can't take the alley out the cat, which he's pretty much just calling her an alley cat, which is pretty much calling her like a hood rat. She's ghetto, disrespectful. Like, and Dre is not cussing him out. Because I'm like, you can't sit up and talk crap about my fiance in my face. You just can't do that. And mind you, Lashonda's upstairs in the window hearing this conversation, seeing Dre not checking Brandon again, and she is riled up. She's pissed. She ain't here for it. And I said, I can see why Lashonda gets mad at Dre. I can see at it because you can't call me an alley cat and my husband not be like, hold up, don't call my wife by her name. Like, feel how you want to feel, but know who to feel. Take your feelings too. You can feel however you want to feel about me, but you can't call me out my name. Let's move on. Now, they're day 3 with Dr. Tracy, and Lashonda is like, Brandon's friendship could mess up our marriage. Like, this friendship could really make me want to leave him. And I don't think it's the friendship that will mess up the marriage. I think it's Dre's passiveness of Brandon's disrespect that can mess up their marriage, because that's going to be a hot button for her. Like, I can see it. I can see it. And I said, 100% agree with Lashonda. Like, y'all are friends, because he's just telling me his opinion. Let y'all talk about football. Y'all can talk about these new Jordans. Y'all can talk about how to mow this grass. But don't let him disrespect me. That is not an opinion. That's disrespect. And as soon as he disrespects me by calling me an alley cat, you should have checked him. And they said, I feel like he cares more about his friends' feelings more than his wife's feelings. I can tell maybe it's not a good, like, are they, I don't know if they're too young, but I just said no, ma'am. Like, it's a no, ma'am. It seems like he cares more about Brandon's feelings, but I think Brandon is just a non-confrontational person, and I don't think he cares more about Brandon's feelings. I just think he does not want to have that confrontational type of conversation with a friend who is very confrontational. At this moment, Dre said he's willing to change. They love each other, and you know, Dr. Tracy's like, marriage is work, and you have to work on it every day, and other issues outside of just his annoying ass friend is going to come up. You're going to have to work through it. You can't just throw in the towel and say, I don't want to get married, because his friend gets on your nerve. And so they looked at each other again. They agreed to work it out. And I said, that is marriage. That is marriage. It's always going to be something to come up. It's always going to be something to get on your last nerve. And you have to work it out. You're going to argue. You're going to fight. But you have to love each other, not disrespect each other. And you can confront each other in a respectful way and still work it out. Now, at this point, Lashonda was like, Brandon can't be in the wedding. Like, why would you even want somebody in the wedding that doesn't like me and doesn't think you should get married? He doesn't care about this union. And to me, Brandon, why do you want to spend your good $200, $300, $400 renting a tuxedo and everything it costs to be at a wedding that you don't even want to happen? So Dre agrees for his wife. Brandon can't be at the wedding because, you know, they don't. And I said, the last thing you want, now, disrespecting me all up here in Dr. Tracy house is one thing. You cannot disrespect someone on their wedding day. You cannot be the person that ruins someone's wedding, because I guarantee you the emotions of that day, the way you feel that day, if someone ruins it, that it's gonna be like that Cindy and Jemiah family is gonna be on site. People don't play that mess on their wedding. Now, Cindy and Jemiah, they ain't fight at the wedding, but you know, that engagement party, it will be on site. You cannot be the person to ruin somebody's wedding. So it's best you just sit at home and keep your opinions to yourself at the house and just look at the pictures on Instagram in a few weeks. Okay, so now we have to I'm a mess, y'all. Now we at the blessing ceremony. Quickly, let's get through it. I felt like everyone was going to get a blessing anyway because most of the family really didn't have a problem. Everyone gave their blessing except for hater-ass Brandon. Brandon did not give his blessing, but he did drop a little bit of good sense. He was like, well, my blessing was never needed. You right. You right. I ain't stopping my wedding because my best friend don't like you. Bye. His blessing was not ever needed. And now it's time for Dre to kick Brandon out the wedding. And Dre cannot do it. He is an emotional wreck. Him and Brandon have been friends since elementary school, over 20 years. He is crying real tears. And Lashonda is hurt because her man is hurt. And she leans over and was like, look, don't do it if you don't want to do it. You don't have to do this for me. And that was a beautiful moment as well, because she cared more about her husband's feelings than her own. Like, I don't want you hurt, so just invite him. I don't care. And that's pretty much how it was. Now, he never said Brandon was kicked out the wedding. So I don't know if he really kicked him out or not. He wasn't kicked out because they showed the pictures at the end of the episode, and Brandon was at the wedding and he was in the pictures. It looked like he was the best man. Their wedding looked beautiful. They were a beautiful couple. I loved looking at their love on TV. I thought they were definitely going to be willing to work things out. And if Drake can just keep Brandon at bay, at least just tell your friend to keep his opinions to himself. Like, just keep your opinions to yourself, Brandon. Brandon the type, I can't wait for him to get married, because sometimes people don't understand until it happens to them. I don't know. Can he even find somebody with that attitude? I don't know, but I'm happy for the couple, and I wish them many babies, because at the end she was like, okay, now it's time to make some more of these babies. I think she said she wanted 4 in total, or did she want 4 more? I don't know. However many girl you want, I'll be happy for you. And that was it, y'all. I thought it was another great episode. I can't wait to see next week's episode. It looks like we have a pastor and a soon-to-be first lady, and she looked like she ain't really ready to be first lady. I really want to just different perspective. I really just want to see where they're going with that one. It's never really what it seems like it's going to be on these previews, though. We'll see next week, y'all. It's time for me to go to the Super Bowl party. I want to get my videos out as soon as possible before the Super Bowl came on. I don't know who I'm rooting for. I'm just going to socialize and have fun because my team ain't in it. So, oh well. Go ahead and like, comment, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I will have some more videos coming up. It's a lot more shows coming up, so I'll have a lot more reviews for you all to see. And come on and be a part of the Kiss My Cheeks family. And you all go out, have a good Sunday, have a good Super Bowl party. If you are for one of the teams, I hope your team win. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.